I learned from everybody else this morning you have to wait for an uncomfortably long pause once you get on stage before you start talking. So thank you for the wonderful introduction. I am Brent Baldwin. I run our brand strategy, marketing, creative. I think I actually carry 3 different business cards because I am a department of one, which means I am a department of many hats. So I am honored to be here today. The beautiful city of Banff, thank you for hosting us. It's kind of a surreal moment for me. This is my rookie year with the Globetrotters. I'm about 8 months in. And when I found out that we were part of this honoree class, I was on day 6 of the job. And so I quickly Googled the conference and went, I'm in. And then I quickly Googled Banff and I went, oh, hell yeah, I'm in. So thank you. But it's a very, very easy and comfortable thing for me to come up and talk about because I love my brand. I love the Globetrotters. I love everything we stand for in this organization, everything that we stand for as a brand. And I hope that over this time together, you kind of find that love and that passion for your brand, and it's reignited a little bit too. So part of the reason I love my brand so much is because of my family. I actually brought them here with me. They're upstairs, probably sipping some hot chocolate, recovering from a very cold day outside. They are my harshest critics, but they're also my biggest cheerleaders. They are my focus group of 2 every night around the dinner table. We talk about what did Daddy do today? Did you see Moose today at work, who's one of our players? That's how my 7-year-old understands what I do. But they're my North Star. They're kind of the reason that I've stayed in the kid and family space for so long. So I am also an Atlanta boy. I love my city of Atlanta, so I'm glad that 2 of the honorees are representing the city of Atlanta today, us and Coca-Cola. Unfortunately, when that many Atlanta people experience snow and ice, the image on the left is what happens. That was Snowmageddon from about 4 or 5 years ago. It was an 1.5 inches of snow that turned into ice. But in our defense, about 3 million people all were told to leave work at noon and then take 13 hours to commute home. So I was one of the lucky ones that made it home that day. But unfortunately, our city wasn't so lucky because SNL had a little fun with us.
You don't know how to handle snow. I'm not from one of those northern states like Vermont or South Carolina. Okay.
So Atlanta is like my little brother. I love it to death. I can talk bad about it like this, but don't you guys come up to me afterwards and tell me your bad Atlanta stories. So part of Atlanta was I got my roots in kids and family by being at Cartoon Network. Had the privilege of working on our Stop Bullying, Speak Up campaign. Probably the most rewarding, fulfilling work that I've done in my life. Getting letters written in of kids, educators, kind of using our resources, changing the conversation, changing the dialogue at their schools, empowering and inspiring kids to kind of speak up when they see bullying happening. So it was a very rewarding time in my career. I parlayed that an opportunity to work with everybody's frozen ice queen, Elsa. I went and ran marketing at Disney on Ice for a couple of years. The first show that I got to work on was Disney on Ice Presents Frozen. I mean, it was the movie that was made for Disney on Ice. I think we just printed cash continuously every time. We would just go to the box office and they would just like dump the Brinks trucks at us. It was a really great experience. Fell in love with the concept of live entertainment. And I love this photo, not because it was great watching the PA throw her cape up in the air and then run to the side, every couple of minutes. But we taught her the concept of smizing that day, and that's smiling with your eyes. So what we had to do was capture that intensity, that gentle darkness of Elsa with kind of the kind, gentle magic of Disney. So we just kind of taught her how to smize. So she's got that roughness, but the kindness within her eyes and her cheekbones. So. As a marketer, I'm a big fan of kind of blending my heart, my head, or my brain, and my gut. I think that all your best decisions work when you combine all 3 of those and kind of balance it. Big data has been kind of a big trend, putting everything into a model and an algorithm. But I think that there's no substitute for thinking with your heart, what you feel, especially when you're a parent of a 7 and a 3-year-old and you can kind of feel those emotions with your children. And then sometimes just your gut instinct and understanding that. Also have kind of the mindset of surprise and delight. This was another one of those kind of big buzzwords for a few years, and everybody was trying to do it, and most people were doing it poorly. And so I'm a big fan of it, especially when it's done right. And so hopefully you guys will kind of embrace a little surprise and delight today. So enough about me. A little bit about the Globetrotters. We are going on our 94th season, actually, this year. So we were founded in 1926. Of course, Coke had to be an honoree, so we couldn't be the oldest brand this year. But I think 94 years is definitely something to applaud. We were founded by Abe Saperstein as the Savoy Five. And of all places, who can guess? Chicago, Illinois. Yeah, so we were actually founded in Chicago. We have no roots in New York, no roots in Harlem. He named the team the Harlem Globetrotters because he wanted them to feel that we were from out of town, and it was a really big deal that this team of basketball players were coming into Chicago area and they were barnstorming and they were taking on anybody who would kind of like face them and challenge them. So from there, we have a deep history of kind of some barnstorming groups. And then in the 50s, we actually earned our nickname, the Globetrotters. So we went on our first journey overseas to Europe. We played 9 different countries. Some of this footage is actually from Berlin and the Olympic Stadium and how Germany was kind of reeling from World War II. And the U.S. State Department brought us in and asked us to kind of be kind of a conduit to rallying Germany together. So I also like to joke that last year Tim Harris talked about his standard definition footage and the contrast between that and high definition, but I think I've got him beat a little bit here. So, you know, another thing that kind of happened during this time period is the antics that the Globetrotters are probably most famously known for. The legend is that we were just destroying somebody in the second half like we tended to do, and the players just started having fun. They goofed around, they had a little excitement, the crowd went wild. So Abe, after the game, said, do that tomorrow, and do it the next night, and do it the next night, and do it the next night. And so it's how a lot of our antics and excitement kind of came to be. Through the 70s, you probably know us as pop culture icons. We were on Scooby-Doo, we were on Gilligan's Island, we had our own Saturday morning cartoon show, we had our own version of Soul Train, kind of a late night review show. You know, we got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. We really became pop culture icons that solidified kind of our status as a cult brand. But the part of our history that I think I'm most proud of is that we have a legacy of breaking barriers and kind of changing culture around us. So in the late 1940s, early 50s, we challenged the then Minnesota Lakers, who were the champions of the ABA, the precursor to the NBA, and we beat them not 1 year, but 2 years in a row because nobody believed that it happened for real the first time. And that actually led to Sweetwater Clifton, who was a Globetrotter, becoming one of the first African-American players in the NBA. So we broke the color barrier in the NBA. And then in the 1980s, Lynette Woodward, who was a star at the University of Kansas, she was the female basketball player of the year, became the first female player on an all-male professional basketball team. So we just have a history of kind of defining culture, breaking down barriers, and it's something that I'm really excited about. You know, and then you've got your whole presentation baked and you're ready to go and you're putting the finishing touches on it. And you sit down to watch the Super Bowl a couple weeks ago as a lifelong Kansas City Chiefs fan, and you're in your living room and something like this happens.
Welcome to the Geico Super Bowl 54 pregame show on Fox.
The Harlem Globetrotters have been the innovators of basketball for 94 years.
But there's a guy in NFL that reminds us of us.
Patrick Mahomes has us looking at football in a whole new way. Oh, yeah. Now you see it, now you don't.
It's like watching the Harlem Globetrotters.
He's going right, but he throws left.
Are you kidding me?
He can beat you in the paint and from downtown.
The brilliance of Mahomes.
With his no look, got you shook.
High flying, gravity defying.
Throws. He can suit up with us any day.
So congratulations to all the brands that paid $6-7 million for their spots this year. We paid $0. We actually were privileged. Our publicity team is amazing. It does great work. And earlier in the season on a Thursday night, the Chiefs played on Fox. We pulled this piece together last second. It ran on a Thursday night, crashed our website. We were ecstatic that our website crashed from all the traffic. And then we were sitting there Super Bowl night like, is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? And then I'm getting text messages from our tech team going, it just crashed. It's okay. We're going to get it back up. It's okay. So we loved it. But it's exciting. It was a great evening. And I'm just glad the Chiefs won, not only as a fan, but I don't think any professional team would have ever worked with us again if we had caused them to lose the Super Bowl. So that's not to say that our history's all been rosy. We definitely have gone through some periods of struggle, some periods of adversity. We, for a while, stepped away from our roots and tried to be kind of ultra competitive. Outside of our traditional family touring games, we would put together these teams of the best Globetrotters, and we would go and take on anybody. We tried to abandon our modern day roots, but go back to our original roots, the barnstorming and everything, and it sucked, to be honest. I mean, we had fans in the stands that were yelling at us, do something funny, this is terrible, this isn't what I signed up for. I mean, it kind of hurt, it was uncomfortable. We had some private equity years. That sucked. I mean, you guys know what private equity can do to a brand. I mean, they just sucked the absolute life out of us. I think somebody at dinner last night said they're like Dracula sitting there sucking your blood and then telling you you're pretty at the same time. It was really, really uncomfortable. But, it kind of created a little bit of a lost generation for fanhood because they were not investing in the brand. They were just trying to suck every dime and every dollar they could out of it. We also went through a period of time where we tried to be everything to everyone, and unfortunately we ended up being nothing to no one. So we really tried to hit hard with like leisure seekers. So those people that Instagram wasn't a thing, but they were so worried their Instagram feed would have gotten stale. So they're always looking for something to do. We tried to be on the cutting edge with what was probably the young Gen Xers at that time. We tried to appeal to the nostalgic people, the ones that come up to you and tell you, oh, I saw Curly Neal, or I saw Goose, or I saw Sweet Lou, or whatever it was, all at the same time while kind of maintaining our family DNA. And it just kind of really confused our consumer to what we are as a brand. And I think that actually kind of built the definition of brand insanity. It's not giving your customers what they want and wondering why you're failing as a brand. For us, I would like to say that we have righted the ship. We have put a lot of time and energy investing in the brand over the past 4 to 5 years. And it makes me proud, and it makes me say, I love my brand. And this is a big part of why I love my brand. I think this video kind of encapsulates what we stand for.
On my home, the world ain't all that big, so we're just gonna live, and we don't know where life will take us next, but we're just gonna live it now with no regret, and we're seeing what we never seen, and we're being who we wanna be, and we're living out every dream. It's always better when we're together. Now we see it with our own eyes. This is how we wanna do life. Everything's better. These are the best days. These are the best days.
I mean, it's just hard not to smile, isn't it? I mean, one, great music, great music by our creative team putting that together, but it's just hard not to see people experiencing the brand and not smile. I love our brand because everybody has a Globetrotter story. Everybody that you kind of meet, everybody that you interact with, they want to tell you their Globetrotter story. And I have one, and it's kind of foundational to how I approach my role. I went to, this is the now demolished Omni Arena in Atlanta, Georgia in 1980-something-ish. and saw the Globetrotters with my dad. I could not tell you who was playing that day. I could not tell you what gags, what jokes, we won. The Globetrotters won, of course. I couldn't tell you what the final score was, anything about that game, other than I remember walking out of that arena, holding my dad's hand and feeling loved, feeling empowered to be anything I wanted to be. Sorry, I'm getting a little choked up as I'm thinking about it, honestly. I felt like I could just do anything. I felt like he valued me, he invested in me, and part of that was just that atmosphere that we create as the Globetrotters. And it's something that I got to share with my 7 and my 3-year-old girl about 3 months ago. Their first experience, they're dribbling a ball, they're talking about it, they're getting autographs, they're getting the ball spun on their finger, just like I did as a kid. And it's that experience that kind of drives me and motivates me. I love our brand because we're showstoppers. This photo is from a couple weeks ago out in San Francisco when we were doing some advanced PR. And the entire other side of the street stops and just starts taking photos and starts gawking. And what you don't see is the other side of the sidewalk that I'm on that has a line of about 40 people lining up to get an autograph, to get a picture taken. They did not know who the two players were. They could have not told you their names now, even though they met them a couple weeks ago, but they saw that logo on the front of the chest, and they just kind of gravitated to it. It also took us about 30 minutes to go a block from Starbucks to the radio station. So it's a good and it's a bad, but it's a good problem to have. I love our brand because we stood for good before it was cool to stand for good. I mean, if you think about it recently, think about all the beer commercials in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Nothing about their product, but just how they stand for something. I mean, we've stood for good. I mean, we were named the ambassadors of goodwill in the 50s, and we've stood for good for so many years. This is actually Zeus, one of our players that was causing the traffic scene in San Francisco a couple weeks ago. He's part of our team of advanced ambassadors that go out into the markets and do 300 school visits every year in elementary school kids. So we are walking the walk, not just talking the talk. We do 100+ children's hospital visits every year. We've actually partnered with Nationwide Children's Hospital in Columbus, Ohio, and we're the face of their mental health and wellness campaign because that's just what our brand is, and that's kind of our DNA. And it's part of it is because everybody remembers how you make them feel. You can have an experience with a brand, but everybody remembers how you make them feel. It's those emotional connections that you see. I mean, this is a snapshot of about, I think it was 3 minutes of activity on Instagram on a Friday night of just all the interactions of our players with our fans, with the audience, with the crowd. I mean, we do emotional connections like nobody else. I like to say that you can get up close and personable with our players. We have a pregame experience where you can come up and meet them, but we also, every time we win a game, which happens every night, 3 times a night actually in most cities around North America, we give our fans a 5th quarter autograph session. So we invite them to come down out of the stands onto the court to meet our players, to tell their story, to get an autograph. I mean, to create that emotional connection and that moment. I also love our brand because I think we're probably the kings of partnership marketing. Whether it's something we're doing with the ultra cool and hip kid band Cuckoo Kangaroo, or we're partnering with Stomp or with Georgia Tech, making probably the coolest Rube Goldberg you've ever seen, or it's a paid partnership through Carnival or through one of our other sponsors. I mean, we do partnership marketing like nobody else does partnership marketing. I mean, this is Tony T, world champion pizza tosser, having some competitions with the Globetrotters before a game a couple weeks ago. So it's a lot of the reasons that I love our brand. I also think one of the things that separates us that I'm really proud of is good brands tell their story, and they tell their story really, really well, but great brands, their customers tell their story for them. And I think that's one of the things that we are really fortunate about is our customers do an amazing job of telling our story. They get on social media, they talk about it, they evangelize our brand for us, so I don't have to be the one getting up and talking about it all the time. But it's one of the things that I think that I love about our brand is we have such passionate and ravenous fans, and they go out and evangelize it for us. Another thing that I kind of wanted you guys to take away, and I can say this because my boss is not in the room, and if your boss is sitting next to you, maybe ask him to do the earmuffs, but brand marketing's not really that hard, you guys. I mean, like, if you boil it down and you think about it, like, this stuff is really easy. It's the hard part is, like, respecting your brand enough to be honest with yourself about where you are, where you stand in the marketplace. The hard part is going out and actually talking to your customers, talking to your consumers, instead of internalizing that conversation to your own organization and drinking your Kool-Aid. And I think the biggest challenge we face is it's not knowing what you don't know, but it's knowing what you know and you're too afraid to accept, because it's going to be a really hard challenge and it's going to be a really hard struggle, and it's going to create a lot of work for you and your organization. I would also kind of caution you against consultants. I know there are a lot of consultants in the room. I know our hosts are kind of consultants that are helping us. But I would just say be wary of a consultant that tries to feed you with something proprietary and special and unique that one doesn't involve talking to your customers. Run away from those people. Run really, really, really far away from those people. If they won't give you the secret sauce until you sign on the dotted line. Those are the people that I'm always very wary of when it comes to consultants. They try to be flashy. They try to sell you on some hierarchy or some model, or it's an upside down pyramid instead of a right side up pyramid, or whatever it happens to be. I mean, we all get bombarded with those people. But the key, I think, is it's understanding and talking to your customers and figuring out within your brand DNA how you can best meet their needs as a brand, and then what are your product attributes that feed up into that. So I have an undying passion and love for my brand, and I hope that all of you do too. So I would kind of challenge you to either fix your brand, fix yourself, or go fix your resume. I mean, this world is too big to not be working somewhere that you're passionate about, not be working somewhere that you love and you have kind of this undying excitement for, and your brand is too valuable for somebody that doesn't feel that way to have the opportunity to work on it for you. So a little bit of closing. Thank you guys again for the opportunity to be here. I have one more little surprise and delight for you guys. We go all over the world. We do some of the most amazing trick shots that you've ever seen. So I thought instead of going north like I had to, I would take you guys way down under and share a short video from New Zealand with two of our stars, Ice and Dragon.
How you doing? I'm Dragon.
And I'm Ice.
We're the world famous Harlem Globetrotters. We're here in Auckland, New Zealand, about to try something that's never been done before. I'm about to do an alley-hoop slam dunk from 630 feet from the Auckland Sky Tower.
Stay tuned.
Dragon, 3, 2, 1, go!
That was fun.
Woo! So there's plenty of ice outside, but I did bring a dragon with me, you guys.
Hello. Oh yeah, do something like this right here. How's everybody doing? It's a pleasure to be here. So when I first came here, Brent kept telling me, he said, hey, pack warm. He said, it's very, very, very cold here. I didn't take it too serious, and I went hiking this morning, and my hands are still cold right now, so I'm definitely buying a Canada Goose before I leave here. So it's a pleasure to be here with you all, and I traveled here from California, and one thing about me, I grew up in Chicago, been with the Globetrotters for 7 years now. I've been to 53 countries, I've been to 49 states, creating memories. And one of the things I love about the Globetrotters is that I get a chance to travel the world, number one, on someone else's expense, and I get a chance to create memories. And one of the things that touched my heart was one day I was out in Delaware, and I got a chance to meet a kid with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And there's one thing he wanted. He was battling brain cancer at the time, and there's one thing he wanted is to meet a Harlem Globetrotter. And I got a chance to speak to him before he passed away. I got a chance to talk to him, and he said, now he can be happy. And that right there touched my heart. That's one thing I love about being a Harlem Globetrotter.
Perfect.
We good?
We're good.
I need one of these. Have a seat, gentlemen.
Sure.
Here, Dragon.
Come over there, Dragon. We'll have. I think we picked the world's longest hashtag for the question. I think it's actually like we couldn't have just said Globetrotters or yeah. Oh, there we go. Oh, it is just Globetrotters. I couldn't find you on the Harlem Globetrotter. Let me try to pull that up. While I'm getting this hashtag going, Dragon, you've been to 49 states. Where have you not been?
Alaska.
And is there do you guys perform in Alaska?
Yeah, we perform there. I just, most of the time, sometimes I do PR, so I haven't got a chance to go there, but I would definitely love to.
Brent, would you, one of the things that surprised us, I guess, when we were doing your evaluation was that you have multiple teams of Globetrotters, and that you guys can become so popular that you're fulfilling demand all over the country at the same time. Maybe elaborate a little bit on how you guys have, how many people are actually on that team. I'm imagining, like, you sent a whole bunch of our team to your game in Calgary. Are you sending the generals? You're sending the referees? Are you sending the sports announcers? Like, is it an entire production crew and all of the players are all part of your show?
It is very soup to nuts. Yeah, we actually, every year in the summer we have tryouts and we invite somewhere between 5 and 7 new players to join us as Harlem Globetrotters. So we have about 50 total players. We have 3 tours going at any given moment. So right now we're in the middle of our North America tour. Red, white, and blue unit matches the uniform nicely. And 10 to 12 players on each team. You know, we play about 350 games a year in North America. When you add in international, that's another 150 plus games. But those 350 games are in like 320 cities. I like to joke that we will play Paris, Texas in one night, and then 2 weeks later another team is in Paris, France. We're every hometown's home team, and we will play the Staples Center in LA, and then we will play a beautiful high school in the middle of Ocala, Florida. So it's a very kind of diverse space that we play in, but we're honored to have 3 different teams, and we bring everybody. I mean, if the venue doesn't have the sound system, we'll pipe it. We'll run everything. We bring the refs. We bring the scorers. We bring an amazing road team of about 6-7 tour staff that do everything behind the scenes, including closing out the financials with the venue at the end of the night. So.
I was thinking while watching your performance that is there any more useless position than a Harlem Globetrotters referee? They don't call any fouls whatsoever, and then they get made fun of the entire time by the team. But it is kind of reminded me of a WWE referee where they're just kind of there as part of the production. Are the generals the tryout squad? Like, is that there? You work your way up and to become an official Globetrotter?
Well,
no, go ahead.
Well, it depends. We actually had a few Washington Generals that became Harlem Globetrotters. And the recruitment process is actually pretty cool because I myself, I was at home. I played professionally in the NBA G League. I played overseas. I played a couple places, and I was waiting for a team to call me. And I got a call from the Harlem Globetrotters, and I went in. It was a genuine tryout, 5-on-5, no tricks involved. And most importantly, they asked me, you know, how I am as a person. You know, am I able to communicate with people? It was just beyond just my skills of basketball. And my tricks came later. My first game, it was actually 12,000 people at the game, and I was nervous, and I didn't know any tricks, and they called my name, and I got scared, and I threw the ball back to one of my teammates. And he said, hey, listen to the tricks here. The tricks are going to come later. And that night, I was just trying tricks and breaking a few lamps in the hotel room. Now I'm 7 years later, so.
So how does that recruitment process work? You know, what were you guys looking for? Athletes first that are good people second, or vice versa?
I would say your athletic ability is what gets you in the door, and your personality and your ability to kind of perform as an entertainer is what gives you a career with the Globetrotters. I mean, we joke that somebody like Dragon, he can sit in a boardroom and present himself in front of any, C-level suite, but I would also entrust him to babysit my daughters tomorrow night so I can go to dinner with my wife. I mean, they're genuine good people. And while he's Dragon with the uniform on, I mean, he's DeAndre, and the person inside the uniform is really what gives you longevity in a career with the Globetrotters. But we scout internationally. I mean, we signed our first 3 international ball handlers that do amazing things with the basketball that defies gravity. One of them we found in Poland. He was at a game, went up to get the ball spun on his finger and said, "Oh, that's cute, let me show you how it's done," and just kind of went off, and it went viral, and we can't get shown up like that. Like, you're going to come play for us, So
we also got a guy from Beijing, too. He's really well. He actually used to train Tai Chi with Jet Li, and so he teaches some of the players some of his Tai Chi, and he's amazing with tricks, and we got a couple of other guys as well. So.
What is are people typically Globetrotters for their career? Are they Globetrotters still trying to get called up to the NBA? Did they used to play in the NBA or international, and now they're wanting to come back to America? Like, how does it kind of fit in the career path of an athlete?
Well, it depends. So, like, one thing I love, I get a chance to travel the world for free, and I get a chance to touch child's lives and create memories. And that's important to me. It's beyond just basketball. I can go overseas, I can play the place, but I get a chance to interact with people before the game, doing magic pass, and after the game too. Kids take selfies with us, even parents, and even older people, they take selfies and they ask us questions and they communicate with us and talk with us. So that's one thing I do love, and I think every other Globetrotter loves that as well.
What was one of the questions here is about Big Easy and Flight Time's stint on The Amazing Race, and was that something that they did as spokesman for you guys, or did they just want to go be on that show and you let them wear the jersey?
Yeah, so our PR agency arranged it, and they were there representing the Globetrotters. They had so much fun that they got invited back a second time. And then somehow they convinced them to go back for a third time. But yeah, so we do. We have an amazing PR team that creates a lot of those opportunities for us. One of our players was on American Ninja Warrior, and just ran out of time. I mean, he's an amazing athlete and would have finished that. Our players were on Ryan's Mystery Toy World or something on Nickelodeon a couple weeks ago. So
Kids Bop as well.
Yeah, we've done partnership with Kids Bop music videos, all sorts of really cool stuff. So
you said something right at the very beginning. So literally a year ago, Jennifer Sands from Frito-Lay is sitting here, and she's talking about Cheetos, and she says, "I have a team of 3." And nobody could believe it. Everybody would have thought she would have had a team of 130, not 3 people. You stood up here saying that you are the marketing department. How does that work? Do you have outside partners? Do you have a social media team? Do you have an event scheduling team?
So I will caveat and then say that we have multiple marketing departments within the organization. I'm our brand marketing team. The way we work is we work through a network of live event promoters. So somebody that is designed and specifically sells tickets to the game when it comes to Calgary, like it was a couple weeks ago. So we have a team that does that, and then we just have really great agency partners. As the Globetrotters, we're actually part of the Hershin Family Entertainment Group, which owns a variety of aquariums and theme parks, and so we have an agency within our organization that does a lot of the consumer-facing that does the legwork that's needed, because you can't do video shoots like that without a team of more than one that can kind of pull that stuff off.
Yeah, we also have each Globetrotter has like a fan base too. So we on Instagram and we on all through social media.
Each player has their own following.
Yeah, each player has their own following, because each player has one specific type of thing they can do well, and also they can do many things as well. Like myself, I have a 45-inch vertical, so a lot of people.
We have that in common.
Yeah, I know. So like a lot of players who jump high, a lot of people want to jump high, and they love to see me do slam dunks. So I have a fan base, and we have, one of our players by the name of Ice. She played at DePaul, and she's amazing 3-point shooter, 4-point shooter, and she has her fan base because she can handle the ball like really well. So each individual player has their specific fan base that can bring in marketing too. So.
You mentioned the 4-point shot. Is it true that you guys invented the 3-point shot that the NBA uses now? Was that a Globetrotters innovation?
Sure, let's claim it.
Take that claim.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe I have a 4-point shot coming up soon.
Yeah, I mentioned I was on day 6 when I found out about this, so I'm on like month 8 right now. So, yeah. Howard,
I had heard that
can
was
you spot me on that?
Allowed it to be used in the game, popularized it.
Yeah.
Made it,
Yes.
made it a thing.
Also, the NBA, the recent NBA All-Star game, they had a 4-point shot that was in the
Same line, same distance that you guys
same
created?
distance. So yeah, that we created. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
I love that. How do you guys think of yourselves? We've had we had the Lakers here, and then we've had Cirque du Soleil here, and there was a clear delineation between a professional sports team and a pure entertainment brand. Do you label yourselves as entertainers or as athletes, or what do you call your show? Is it just an evening of family entertainment?
Yeah, I mean, we say we're live theater on a basketball court. I mean, we're family entertainment. If we're honest with ourselves, we're more circus than we are basketball. But at the same time, we're almost every little boy's introduction to the sport of basketball. Usually their first basketball game is a Globetrotters game. A lot of people have actually stopped me already and kind of told me that their sons fell in love with the game of basketball because they went to a Globetrotter game. But yeah, I mean, we're family entertainment. We probably sit right in that middle of that pendulum between the Lakers and Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah, we actually got a couple players as well. Like one of our guys named Chris Bruden. He was part of the Bulls. As far as like our skill set too, like a lot of players played in college. 95% of the players played in college, and I played professional overseas. We had women that was part of WNBA and a bunch of places. So we have a unique skill set as well as a personality, as well as tricks as well. So,
what is the onboarding process? What is sort of the brand indoctrination? I mean, your players are human beings who can make boneheaded mistakes and do things off the court. And what is sort of the protocol that keeps everybody in line and such a great representation of the brand?
They never do it. No, I mean, like, I'm not trying to be silly, but like, you can speak to this. Like, our guys embody the brand 24/7. They can walk into a hotel at 1 a.m. having been up for essentially 24 hours straight, and a little kid's in the lobby, and they turn it on, and they are brilliant. I mean, that's what makes you a Globetrotter, is having that personality, having that ability, and then they go through very rigorous training of how to do this when we start. I mean, our PR team leads a lot of that. You probably know the history better than I do. I mean, you have to know all the talking points of our history. You have to understand. We play a lot of times where we'll get up in the morning, we'll drive to the next town, we'll stop at a mall and have lunch or whatever, and it's just a mob. It's that photo in San Francisco happens times about 10,000 people in a mall food court or whatever, and they're just on, and they're just amazing, and so it happens once in a blue moon, if that, when somebody kind of messes up. So.
Well, you do a great job because, I mean, to have the combination of physical talent but also integrity and character is, I got to imagine it's hard to find that type of person. You mentioned something else about, the question says, you used to be more about personalities. I certainly grew up with Meadowlark and Curly. Are you trying to downplay some of that? You mentioned everybody has an Instagram account. Is it Globetrotter first, personality second, or are you trying to find these bigger than life sort of spokesmen or people?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, the logo on the front of the jersey is magnetic. It speaks for itself. I mean, you know what the Globetrotters are, but there is an emphasis coming that you will see where we are going to start building out some stars, and you will start to know names and personalities. But you'll also know, I mean, if you think about the concept of dribbling, like we turned dribbling into an art form. It used to be the way you got the ball down the court so you could pass it so you could make a shot. I mean, we've turned it into a skill set that that is interesting. So you'll learn the personality and the persona behind our dribblers, behind our our finishers like Dragon is and things. So there's But there's also, people remember, Curly and the ESPN or the Wild World of Sports or whatever it happens to be, and he never missed. And well, that gets edited a little bit. I mean, I could put together a sizzle video where we never miss either, and put only our best of our best forward. So
it's definitely one of the questions I get asked everywhere I go. Like, hey, how come Curly isn't playing anymore? I'm like, well, Curly's a little bit older now, so I'm not sure if he still can play. But one of the good things too, we have our coaches that was part of the Globetrotters as well. You got Sweet Lou Dunbar, we have Jimmy Blacklock and Barry Hardy. Those players and those coaches used to be players, so they teach us a lot of stuff and how to be, Globetrotters and how to do certain things, certain ways, and what's funny and things like that. So that kind of helps carry on the legacy.
Time for 2 questions left. One, how did the Globetrotters get off of Gilligan's Island? Because the castaways didn't. What was that storyline?
I have absolutely no idea. I could BS, but I do not know.
That wasn't in your PR talking notes?
Not in our PR talking
I refer to the website, harlemglobetrotters.com.
Yes, there you go. Thank you.
And then lastly, Luke is our 11-year-old attendee here. Would you mind helping him learn how to spin a ball on his finger here to wrap
Come on
up?
up, Luke. Yep. Here you go. I want you to put one finger up like this. Yep, just like this. Oh, good light. Wow, the light in here is amazing. Here we go. Look at that.
There you go. Way to go, Luke. Ladies and gentlemen,
Good job.
Dragon and Brent from the Harlem Globetrotters. Thank you so much.